Now, the second method of asexual reproduction is budding. The meaning of budding is formation of a bird on the parent body after attaining a maturity. Now we can say that an outgrowth or ingrowth on the parent body is called as a budding. See, the budding can be of two types. First, on the basis of a bird formation on outside of the body is called as exogenous. And if the bird forms inside the body, it is called as endogenous. Now see, exogenous simple means when there is a formation of the bird on the outside, it is an outgrowth. The examples are hydra and yeast. See what happens in case of hydra. Suppose if I draw the body of an hydra, then suppose this is substratum where the hydra fixed and these are its tentacles. Now an outgrowth, small outgrowth will develop on the body of the hydra, and when it will attain some maturity, it will cut from here, again it will attach to sub of the substratum and develops. This is called as exogenous budding because there is a formation of bud on outside of the body. One more example, there is a fungi called as the yeast. Now what happens? This yeast also develop some outgrowth in the form of chain on its outer body surface, and now when these structures they become heavy or when they mature, they attain some maturity, then they fall from here and develop as a new yeast. This is called as exogenous budding. Now for endogenous budding, we have one example, that is fresh water sponge called as spongilla. In case of spongilla, we can see that formation of bud takes place inside the body. Just let me draw one sponge. Suppose this is the body of the sponge, body wall. Then we all know that the sponge is porous. Now, where the bird forms inside the body wall. The bird forms inside the body wall, and these birds through the spore comes out. They float in the water, and wherever they fix, they start their own germination. Now these birds, when they come out, it is called as gemule. So the endogenous bud of freshwater sponge is called as a gemule. Now see how this gemule looks like. This gemule is a mass of cell which is surrounded by a gelatinous material. Now this is mass of cell. Now these mass of cells are called as archaeocyte. And it is surrounded by a gelatinous matrix or gelatinous material. And this gelatinous material consists of one exoskeleton-like structure called as spicules. Now, this structure contains one opening, and this opening is called as micropyle. Okay. Now this is the structure of a gemule where some sort of cells are there. These cells are called as the archaeocyte, which is surrounded by the gelatinous mass, gelatinous matrix, and it consists of the exoskeleton like structure called as the spicules. Now it consists of a micropyle. Okay. Now what happens? See, in case of the gemule, these archaeocytes help in the formation of complete body of the sponge. So, these archaeocyte cells will come out and then they develop the body of the sponge. And this gemule will fix to the substratum through the micropyle region. Through this region, it will attach to the substratum. Suppose if this is the, where I have to draw, suppose if this is the substratum, then this will be the micropyle, this is the archaeocyte cell, and this is the gelatinous matrix. And what happens? The archaeocyte cells comes from here and then they develop the body of the sponge. So this is all about endogenous budding. Now our third method of reproduction is fragmentation. In case of fragmentation, this is most common in case of lower organisms, like it is common in the lower plants in algae and in lower animals in planaria. What happens in case of fragmentation? Suppose in case of algae we talk about the Spirogyra. The Spirogyra is the simplest algae. Now what it does? If this Spirogyra breaks up into the two or more different parts, then each part will give rise to the new Spirogyra. This is called as the fragmentation. And in case of animal, we have the example of planaria. Now what happens in case of planaria? If we cut this planaria into 2 or 3 pieces, then each piece of planaria will give rise to the new organism like this. And this is called as the fragmentation, where an organism on maturity divide by itself into 2 or more pieces, and then each piece will give rise to the new organism. Now, the last one is spore formation. Spore formation. Now students, some of the lower organism can develop or can reproduce by the formation of spore. And in our course, we have 2 methods of spore formation. Number 1 is zoospore. And second is conidia. Zoospore is motile or mobile spore, and it is immobile. Okay. Now, the common example of mobile spore is Chlamydomonas. And the common example of immobile conidia is Penicillium. It is a fungi, and this is the common algae. Now see what happens in case of Chlamydomonas. Suppose this is the body of the, wait a minute, this is the body of the Chlamydomonas. Then what happens? This is the flagella of this. This Chlamydomonas will withdraw its flagella, and inside the body there is a formation of many smaller organisms. They all will develop their flagella and then they come out and then they lead their life. Now these small spores, as they they contain flagella and they can swim in water, hence they are called as the zoospore. So this is the example of a zoospore. Now what happens in case of conidia? The penicillium consists of a body. Okay. Now this penicillium develop a spore-like structure called as the conidia. These conidium will develop from the downside and from the upside they rupture, and these spores fall at the different places and then they grow. Now these are immobile. So this is all about the spore formation. Now students, we have seen all the different types of asexual reproduction, that is fission. In case of fission, we have seen binary fission and multiple fission. In binary fission, I have taught you the irregular and the example was amoeba, the longitudinal example was euglena, and transverse, the one example was paramecium. In case of multiple fission, I told you that formation of cyst wall, development of the nucleus, then development of the cytoplasm, then rupture of the cyst wall, and the microorganisms, they sustain their life. After that, I taught you the next topic, that was budding. In case of budding, if the bird is on the outside, called as exogenous, example was hydra and yeast, and if the bird form inside the body, called as the endogenous, and the example is freshwater sponge, and the bird is called as the gemule. Then we saw the fragmentation. On maturity, the smaller microorganisms or algae and fungi, they divide, and after division, each and every part of the organism develops into the new piece. This is called as the fragmentation. After that, we have seen the spore formation, and in our book, in our course, we have the two type of spore formation. One is zoospore, where the spores can move. Another is immobile, that is the conidia, and the example was penicillium. So that's all for today. Now you all prepare the notes from all this topic and revise it. Thank you, children.